I'm Elwyn Berlekamp, and I want to tell you about a popular children's game called Dots and Boxes. On grids with many boxes, human Dots and Boxes players can be partitioned into 4 or 5 distinct levels of skill. Remarkably, the main distinction between players at any 2 adjacent levels is that the better player has mastered a mathematical theorem which the weaker one has not yet discovered. Mathematics is all around us. It lurks just beneath the surface of many things. Even though many of the results are relatively easy to explain, they have long gone unnoticed. This book reveals some of the mathematical notions that will enable you to become an expert player of Dots and Boxes. Some children like to play this game on very large boards. This is a possible starting position for a game which will have 697 boxes on a board with 17 rows of boxes and 41 columns. In Sweden, they like to start with the border of the board already filled in. This is the Swedish version of a 697 box game. Since Iceland is halfway between America and Sweden, I like to call this the Icelandic starting position. You can actually start with any position. You can start with much further along than the initial Swedish position, with the position that we used as a title slide for this talk. This is the initial position of a 25 box game. This will be the terminal position of the particular game which I'm about to show you. Each player will then have scored a certain number of points. The players are red and blue. In this particular game, red gets the first move. Blue responds. Then red. Then blue. Then red. Then blue. And so forth. Eventually, blue now makes the third side of a box. Now red, if he so wishes, may complete the fourth side of that box, which is what he does. He then gets that box, puts his initial in it, and he also gets an extra move, which he uses to complete another box. He puts his initial in that one and gets another extra move. As long as he makes boxes, he gets additional moves, which he now plays elsewhere. The players then continue to make alternating moves. Like many other children, I learned to play the game of Dots and Boxes soon after I entered grade school in 1946. Ever since then, I have enjoyed recurrent spurts of fascination with this game and the mathematics behind it. New results continue to be discovered every decade or so, and each advance has been associated with a new mathematical insight. Blue has just made the third side of another box. Red decides to take this box, gets his initial in it, and he then plays an extra move elsewhere. The players then resume alternating moves. Blue, then red, then blue, etc. At this point, the board is now partitioned into strings, which can also be called chains. Chain of length 1. Another chain of length 6 boxes. Another chain of length 6 boxes. Another chain of length 7 boxes. Another chain of length 2 boxes. So altogether we have chains of length 1, 6, 6, 7, and 2. Later we will think about this more abstractly, about when the board is completely divided up into chains. It's now A's turn to move. He can do nothing but give away some chain. He actually decides to give away the chain of length 6. You might wonder why he does this, when he could instead have given away a shorter chain of length 1. But in the second lecture, we'll see that it really doesn't matter, because blue can achieve the same final score no matter where A plays at this move. Blue takes the box and then gets an extra move, which he uses to make another box, etc. And he continues until there are only 2 boxes left at the top left corner of the board. He could take those boxes, but instead he finds a much better move. He declines. He completes his turn, which makes no boxes. When this happens, we say that blue has double dealt. He has offered red the possibility of making 2 boxes at one move, which is what red does. This move, which makes 2 boxes at one turn, is called a double cross. The rules specify that this gives red 1 extra move. Poor red can now do nothing except offer blue another chain. He now gives blue the chain of length 1. Blue takes it and then gives back to red a chain of length 2. After red takes these boxes, there is no way that red can play without giving blue a longer chain. He does so, but blue then takes all the boxes in this chain except for the last 2. He then again double deals, giving back the last 2 boxes to red. Red takes the 2 boxes with a double crossing move, but he must then give the rest of the boxes to blue, which blue takes one by one, each time getting another move and completing all of them. Blue wins the game, 16-9. The main lesson of this game is that the double dealing tactic is often better than greediness. We've just seen a typical example of when the double dealing wins. If instead blue had taken the 2 boxes at the top center, he would have then lose the game by a score of 11-14. So instead, blue double deals. In the next segment, we'll go back and examine some earlier positions in this game. We'll show why the sacrifice here was blue's only winning move, and we'll also find where red lost his last chance to win. Until then, more information about this game can be found in my book.